Am I the asshole for calling my stepsister the ugly stepsister because she freaked out over a nickname? My F29 family jokingly refers to me as Princess the Princess, because I have a reputation for being opinionated and sensitive. This is mostly because of sensory issues. So certain noises or textures grate on me to an extent that I will leave the room or avoid touching things. I'm also just a picky person and I like things how I like them. So my stepdad started referring to me as the princess. Like, don't open the car window. The princess will get upset. My stepbrothers and mum use it as well. It's a running family joke. Well meant. I've never been offended by it in the 15 years it's been a thing. My stepsister, Georgia F30, hates it. She used to snap whenever anyone said it, but over the years she just started making the odd passive-aggressive comment about it. Everyone ignores it. Because Georgia has a habit of thinking everything is about her. And if it's not about her, the reason it's not about her is because we all hate her. Which then is still about her. So, our whole family is visiting my parents in the countryside for a couple of weeks. Georgia has brought her boyfriend Jason along. I've met Jason a couple of times before at dinners and he's a nice guy. And he's fit in well. This morning, me and my mum were making breakfast and Jason came down and to help out. We normally have breakfast in the kitchen diner, so eventually everyone started gathering at the table. We always make the tea and coffee last so it's hot when we eat, and we had all the mugs out and Jason offered to make the drinks. I told him not to do mine because I liked it made a very particular way. And he said, okay princess, I will just watch how you do it so I know for next time, and we laughed. It was a joke. The next thing we know, Georgia shouts she's sick of everyone calling me. She then swore at Jason for being just like them us. She said, since everyone thinks I'm so special, what does that make her? And I replied, the ugly stepsister. Obviously, no one said anything. But Georgia burst into tears, pushed her plate onto the floor, broke it, and went upstairs. And Jason ran after her. He's since come down to apologize for her. She hasn't come out of her room. My stepbrothers are on my side. The parents say I should have just not said anything and she would have calmed down. And that I went too far picking at an insecurity. That might be true. But I'm sick of her making everything about her. The joke doesn't have anything to do with her. And I am, as are my stepbrothers, sick of her acting out to force everyone to behave how she wants them to. Am I the R for taking the argument there? You're the asshole. You called her ugly. But your story really paints you as the ugly stepsister, opinionated, sensitive, and calling people names. You're the asshole and people calling you princess are too. Even though you're not offended. It doesn't sound like a term of endearment or something when being used the way you describe. I might be wrong. But to me it sounds belittling. Anyway, definitely YTA for the ugly stepsister comment. As an actual non-attractive ugly person, I can vouch that even as a joke that would feel horrible to hear. You're the asshole. It sounds like your stepsister is constantly feeling ignored because you're the princess of the family. And I get it based on everything you said. It seems like you always get your way because you are picky and sensitive. And then to insult her afterwards is just way too far. It also seems like everything is about you, as you are the princess as they refer to you. You're the asshole. Being not offended when someone refers to you as princess is not the same thing as not taking offense when someone calls you an ugly stepsister. You know she hates the princess thing. Ovs. And it's pretty clear that it's BC she's jealous. Now she has to listen to her boyfriend also call you princess and hear you insult her. What a family. You know what you could have said when she asked what she was. Another princess. Since we're sisters. Silly. You're the asshole. What you said makes you the ugliest stepsister. You're the asshole. Being overly picky doesn't make you special or give you the right to call someone else ugly. Apologize and mean it. It's because we all hate her. If your parents have confirmed this, then it's you and them that are the problem. You're the asshole. You say she always makes everything about her. But it sounds like it's always about you. Princess this. Princess that. Sounds a bit self-centered. No. You're the asshole. Such a mean girl's moment. You're the asshole. You could have gone with invisible. Ignored. Former. Forgotten. Og princess. You didn't have to say ugly while flirting with her boyfriend. Clearly after the merged family, she felt replaced as the only girl by a high-maintenance person who now gets all the attention. Info. Has anyone asked why you sarcastically being called princess bothers her? Was it a pet name used for her by her dad? And then your stepdad started calling you that instead? Has she always felt in competition of you? You're the asshole. I was going to say kids are going to be kids. Then I saw you are a grown adult. Really? Picking on appearances. What is this? Grade school? You're the asshole. Calling your sister like that makes you the ugly stepsister honestly. Her BF also sucks. When is clear there is resentment about a joke that she has been ranting about for a while. And being ignored. But it shows you nor your family care at all about how this joke makes her feel, and to top it you called her ugly, mean and You're the asshole reread the post everything is about you. You're the asshole. The ugly stepsister, obviously. You're the asshole. That comment wasn't necessary. You picked at an insecurity and hit home hard. Meanwhile your nickname really has no bad meaning or association tied to it. She probably feels insignificant to you. And you just doubled down on making her feel lesser. The projection in this post is off the charts. Your sister isn't the one making everything about her. You make everything about you. Also, I cannot believe that at 29 years old you thought it was appropriate to tell your sister that she was the ugly stepsister. Nor can I believe that you don't see the problem there. I'm confused as to why you accuse someone of making everything about her, when you're the one in charge as princess of the castle. And you think the princess nickname is well meant. It is a coping mechanism to help everyone around you deal with your pickiness. They're laughing at you so they don't get irritated every time you dictate your preferences. You seem to think princess is a literal description of your role within the family. Georgia is the only one not playing along here. Crazy. The kind thing to say would have been a princess's sister is also a princess. You're the asshole. I find it funny that you say that everything revolves around her, when it sounds more like everything revolves around you and your pickiness. And while she did overreact, this is likely just the straw that broke the camel's back, and calling her the ugly stepsister made it so much worse. She probably has felt consistently less important than you. Are you autistic? Info. How completely horrible are you when you don't have your sensitivities catered to? Am I the asshole for potentially getting my wife in trouble with her hospital? My wife just started her second year of medical residency. She likes to talk about her workday, and I understand it's important as a way for her to de-stress. considering the workload that residents have. However, she tends to overshare medical details about her patients. For those who don't know, medical information is protected by a law called HIPAA. And it is pretty strict about how patient information needs to be protected and anonymized if sharing is needed. I've reminded my wife several times that she is telling me patient details that are in violation of HIPAA. She keeps brushing it off. First by telling me that HIPAA doesn't apply between spouses. It absolutely does. And then by telling me that she trusts me and needs me to just listen to her. That's not the point. I've repeatedly tried to explain to her why she needs to stop. But she hasn't. A few days ago she told me about a patient she saw, and even without names I figured out that it was the son of someone I knew, and they probably wouldn't want me to know that information. I again told my wife to stop, and again she brushed me off. A couple days later I was at a gathering where one of my wife's friends, who is also her fellow resident, was present. I pulled her aside and explained what was going on and asked her to talk with my wife about the seriousness of what she was doing. She said she would. Apparently she didn't talk with my wife but reported her to the hospital's ethics board, and now they want to meet with my wife. She is furious with me for reporting her and says she can't trust me anymore. I've told her I'm sorry this is happening, but I didn't ask her to be reported. I just wanted someone to explain to her what she was doing was wrong because she wasn't listening. When I did, she thinks I am a huge R. I think this is only an issue because she was essentially repeatedly breaking the law. Am I the asshole? Info: was your wife just telling you situations they were dealing with at work? Or were they literally telling you the exact names, ages of their patients? I completely understand her need to vent about their day and stating about I've had a patient with X scenario or I had to perform CPR on a patient isn't violating HIPAA, as they're just scenarios or examples of things that have transpired throughout the day. If they were literally giving names and specific identifiers, then yeah, it's a violation. You're the asshole. My wife is a healthcare provider. I know exactly what you are doing. You are using HIPAA to get your wife to stop talking about work. I have done the same thing for years. But you don't get her reported and ruin her career. If she loses her career, she will divorce you. You're the asshole. Unless she is giving you first and last names, medical record numbers, date of birth, and/or social security numbers, you are assuming the patient is someone you know. Healthcare workers see an insane amount of people per day, and it's doubtful they are people you know. If you don't want to hear her vent, but her a journal to vent in, you potentially just blew up her career. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. If she doesn't get dismissed from the residency program over this, she will be lucky. Either way, she needs to seriously re-evaluate whether she wants to stay married to someone who can't keep their mouth shut. Spouses should be able to discuss things behind closed doors without concern about it going any further. Years ago, there was a leak in Hub's office. The boss told different people different stories and waited to see what came back to her. The leak was fired. Sheesh. You're the asshole. My husband is an doctor and they all share stories. You could be massively destroying her career she's already invested years in. It's an emotionally and physically taxing job. And it's understandable to vent to your so. Trust is everything. I would divorce you. But I'm very unforgiving. You're the asshole. She didn't tell you who it was. You assumed. Not the asshole. I'm so taken aback by the number of YTA responses here. I'm guessing everyone giving that judgment is not in the healthcare is in it, and either lacks integrity and/or the understanding of the immense importance of confidentiality. There is a right way to vent in healthcare and she chose the wrong way. Hopefully, the ethics board will be the wake-up call she needs. Sometimes you can be right and be an asshole. Your wife is in the wrong. But it seems like she's only telling you. You had a choice, you're not going to share or do anything bad with the info. Right? You could have kept pushing back on her. Even walking away every time you felt she was sharing identifiable information. And if she genuinely is only telling you, there's little actual harm done. If she's telling other people as well, that would have come back and bitten her hard eventually. Without your involvement. So you're the asshole for reporting her to her coworker. Her coworker is, for lack of a better term, a mandated reported. You potentially have blown up your wife's career. If you didn't want to listen to her vent, just say so, and if she doesn't respect your boundary, walk away. I doubt your wife is telling anyone else this info, so if you can't be the person she vents to, at least get off your moral high horse and be someone she can at least frickin' trust. You're the asshole. Even if your wife shouldn't be sharing this information, it's a huge betrayal to effectively report her to her workplace. She's your wife. Your loyalty to her comes first. Do you also call the cops on her if she goes a few mph over the speed limit? Not the asshole primarily. BC, why the fuck is your partner repeatedly telling you things you have explicitly said you are uncomfortable hearing, and just ignoring that you are not comfortable? WTF? You're the asshole. Just say you wanted a divorce before all this and cut the story out. Your wife should have known not to share so much information with you. But there is no way you knew that much about HIPAA without knowing that reporting it to one of her co-workers would mean the co-worker would have to report it to the hospital. So it is disingenuous to claim that you didn't intend for her to get into trouble with the hospital. You're the asshole. I know HIPAA is a law and really should be followed, but my BF is a nurse, and of all people, medical professionals need to vent. I'm a teacher and I also vent to him about my students and their shenanigans. Just keep your mouth shut. Listen to your wife. And mind your own business. I get that HIPAA is a thing. But if she didn't share names, I don't see how it's an issue. You did some mental math to figure out the patient. Sounds like your problem to me. It costs $0 and 0 time to keep your mouth shut. Man shrugging, light skin tone. My father is a shrink. My mom is a surgeon. And I am an RN. She gave you enough information to identify the patient. That makes it a HIPAA violation. Not the asshole. You fucked up your marriage, pal. Not the asshole. There are ways to vent without violating HIPAA. She should have learned that long ago. I don't go to a doctor and expect him to explain all my details to their partner to the point they'd know me all my issues. That's a problem. She violated privacy. This isn't some friend you mentioned something minor for. This was a huge ethics violation. This behavior and shit coming on the internet is why people don't trust healthcare professionals. These comments are insane. Not the asshole. Glad one of you actually cares about patient confidentiality. Am I the asshole for refusing to DD anymore and leaving 3 drunk friends stranded? I have 3 friends from college. Maisie, Tom, and Neela. We're all mid-30s now. We usually get together once a month to have dinner despite work and family obligations virtually. During the global event 6 months ago, I had to stand up to everyone about splitting the bill evenly because everyone else orders and eats appetizers and desserts, and everyone else drink copious amounts of alcohol every time we get together. I typically eat a main and drink water. I started checking menus in advance and only bringing enough cash to cover my bill plus tip, and would forget my card at home, and eventually sternly told them that I was no longer willing to pay an additional $50, $100 every time we went out to cover their appetizers, desserts, and drinking habits. Well, they all decided because I wasn't drinking anything but water, I should be the DD. Which I initially agreed to because I was just happy that they eventually stopped arguing with me about splitting the bill. But at the time I told them firmly if any of them ever threw up in my car, that would be the end of it. Last month, Tom nearly threw up in my car. The only reason he didn't is because I pulled over and pulled him out of the car and onto the pavement instead. I sent a group text the next morning stating that I was no longer going to DD. And everyone complained that Tom only almost threw up in my car. I again refused and told them that next month, they either had to limit the drinking so they could drive, or they had to find their own ride. Last weekend, I reminded everyone I wasn't driving anyone home. No one limited their intake at all. And by the end of the night, they were too drunk to even handle paying their bill. I went up and asked for my bill separately, paid, and walked out without saying goodbye. Tom's wife had to have her mother watch their 2 kids while she had to come down, cover their bills, and give Maisie and Neela rides home, and Tom and Maisie both threw up in her car. I was getting hateful calls and texts all week telling me I had to pay to have Tom's wife's car cleaned and pay his meal for watching the kids. Maisie and Neela have been calling me all kinds of names for abandoning them. But I snapped that they were all 3 sheets to the wind even after being told last month I wasn't driving them anymore. Tom eventually called to yell at me that if I didn't split the bill, and if I didn't DD, then what use was I? I asked if that was how he treated his wife, Maisie, or Neela, if they were only allowed to be around if they were useful. Because here I thought we were all just enjoying one another's company. Since I certainly wasn't gaining anything useful from them spending hundreds of dollars funding their eating and drinking habits and then wasting my gas to drive the drunk asses home. I was blocked and none of them will speak to me now, and I just need to know if I'm the R here. Edit: I used to drink heavily, too. I had to quit for an unrelated medical reason. You're not the asshole. But they stopped being your friends a long time ago. Time to wake up to reality. Not the asshole. You are not their friend. You were there only because they could take advantage of you. Well done for standing up for yourself. You will need to find a new friend group though. Not the asshole. You've just realized that they didn't actually like you all that much, and by their description you probably shouldn't like them either. They are users. Tom eventually called to yell at me that if I didn't split the bill, and if I didn't DD, then what use was I? Yay. These people are not your friends. Sounds to me like you guys had a relationship based around drinking heavily. Now that you don't drink and won't be their DD and won't pay for their meals, they have no use for you. They sound like shitty people anyways. Who gets so obliterated drunk at a restaurant that they're too incoherent to pay the bill and then puke in the car? Move on from these people. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. and these people are not your friends. Not the asshole. Why don't they just taxi, Lyft, Uber? Not the asshole. You warned them multiple times you weren't going to DD. They are the ones who are ours who can't limit their alcohol intake. They thought you were bluffing about not being DD. FAFO on their end. On side note, I'd probably stop hanging out with these people. They sound like selfish drunken Rs. Not the asshole. You're all in your 30s. And your friends are unable to regulate their drinking. Do they not know how to call a taxi? You set reasonable boundaries with them. And they kept trying to disregard them. Also, you're their friend, not their mother. You shouldn't have to feel responsible for how they get home. This may need to be a discussion with the group while you are all sober and explain why you have placed these boundaries. If they push back, it may be a good idea to put some distance between you all for a while. Yeah. Not the asshole. You seem to have friends who don't take personal accountability to heart. They might sober up and apologize but don't reach out. Not the asshole. Your friends are toxic people and you clearly don't need to put up with their BS. Not the asshole. Let me see if I have this. Guys are in your mid-30s. Some are married with kids. And your friends habitually get shit-faced. Stick you with a disproportionate part of the bill. Make you the DD. And when you refuse they question you're used to them. What in the blue chicken fried fuck do you see in these worthless using losers? They add nothing to your life. You need to dump these assholes completely and get better friends. Not the asshole. Their behavior is pretty repulsive. You're not their mummy. You don't need to make sure they don't drink too much and that they get home safe. They've shown their true colors. I hope you find some better friends because you deserve so much better than this. Not the asshole. And also, if people in their 30s are still regularly drinking so much at a restaurant that they can't pay the bill and throw up, then holy shit. They need to grow the fuck up. Not the asshole. These people are not your friends. Not the asshole. Your friends are trashy cheap fucks. Not the asshole. These friends act like teenagers who get so drunk they throw up or can't pay their bills at 30. That's ridiculous. Tell them to grow up. Not the asshole. They're not your friends. You were just useful to them. Find new friends. So sorry you had to deal with their shit. But it sounds like they did the work of going no contact for you. Not the asshole. And these people are not your friends. Mid-30s and drinking until they puke is alcoholism. Block them and find new friends. Not the asshole. You did the right thing. And I hope that the "what use are you" comment made you see that you need to get better friends. Entire. You have grown up after college. They have not. Time to drop these so-called friends. They have stated they only want you around to help pay for their drunken night out and then drive them home. This is not a friendship. Their abuse of you after you warned them you would not be used again just proves they are not friends and do not value you as a friend. Why is it your fault or responsibility to pay, since their behavior caused the wife to leave her kids with her mom and drive to pick them? Stay away from these childish self-centered holes. Not the asshole. And if they were honestly your friends they would pick up your bill since you are the DD. Whenever my friend group went out the DD always had their food paid for. Still a lot cheaper than an Uber. Am I the asshole for thinking my BF's daughter shouldn't sit on his lap anymore? IF35 have been dating Tom for almost 2 years now. Tom has a daughter Aspen. Tom has always babied Aspen, which is fine. Recently Aspen has been sick and Tom has really stepped up the babying. I think it's fine to baby your kid, but Aspen is a teenager and doesn't need to be babied anymore. I expressed this to Tom, but he says Aspen is still young and needs to be taken care of. Last night I was going over to Tom's. He told me the front door is unlocked, so just walk in. Well, I walked in to find Aspen laying on Tom's lap asleep. I asked Tom if he thinks Aspen is a little too old to be doing this. He said no, especially considering she's sick. I said I think she is too old and it needs to stop. He told me I'm being an R and I need to stop being weird about something completely normal. I told friends and they also think I'm the R. Am I? You're the asshole. I am in my 60s and still wish my mom or dad was here to let me sit in their lap and stroke my hair. To make me feel better when I am sick or sad. Instead of questioning why Tom is trying to make his child feel better while she's feeling unwell. Maybe you need to question why you are threatened by this man's 13-year-old child. You're not only the R, but you're gross, too. He's correct. Stop making it weird. You're the asshole. You're the asshole and you have no business telling him it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Why does it need to stop? It's not harming Aspen. Learn your place. You're just a girlfriend. You're the asshole. Tom clearly has a close bond with his daughter, is comforting her. He sounds like a good dad. Not sure why you're discouraging that or making it out to be weird. That's on you, not him. Also, 13 is still young. She's a kid. FYI, even adult children still cuddle their parents. You're the asshole. Edit, just saw the update that Aspen's sickness is actually cancer. Jesus lady, I take back my YTA and upgrade it. You're downright evil and I really hope he dumps your ass. You're the asshole. Are you seriously implying what I think you're implying? It's kind of the norm that parents always baby their sick children no matter how old they are. Are you saying that it's wrong because you're feeling threatened another female dares to be close to your boyfriend? Disgusting. You're the asshole. That's his baby and none of your damn business. You're the asshole. You're creepy and an asshole. You sound jealous that he is giving attention to his daughter. I would take care of my daughter if she was sick at 35. You're the asshole. It doesn't matter what you think. It's his daughter. If he wants to baby her, let him. You're the asshole. Your take on this isn't just weird, it's creepy. Why do you think it's wrong? Because she's too old to cuddle. How does her age change affection from her parent? You're unconsciously sexualizing the context. You're the asshole. My 13-year-old still sits on my lap or cuddles on the couch if he's sick or sad. That's totally normal. Your BF's completely appropriate relationship with his daughter is zero your business. You're the asshole so much. I'm in my 30s and I have laid my head in my mom's lap and cried after surgery. There's no age limit on parental love. You're the asshole. She clearly is close to her father. And 13 is still a child. She's young. She didn't feel good and she was comforted by snuggling with her father. It's not your place to tell him it needs to stop or that it's weird. You're the asshole. I'm 40-ish and a hug from my mom when I'm sick is still the best medicine. You're the asshole. It's totally normal for teens to cuddle with their parents. You're making it weird and projecting your anxieties on the situation. No good will come from getting jealous of your boyfriend's daughter. You're the asshole. Wow, imagine being insecure about someone's child. How embarrassing. You're the asshole. I'm an adult with my own partner and child and my mom still babies me. Especially if I'm ill. That's the relationship of a parent-child. You don't just stop parenting or showing affection because of age. It's not sexual. You're the asshole. Her father is giving her the emotional love and support that teenaged girls often crave from men. If she can get that from her father, she is more likely to have healthy relationships. There is absolutely no reason for him to stop holding his daughter when she needs it. Whether she's 13 or 35. I do strongly encourage you to have him ask her about the same situation. Your attitude is toxic for a teenager and needs to be corrected or gotten out of her life as soon as possible. You're the asshole. Why are you sexualizing this child? She's only 13. A day will come when the daughter is extremely embarrassed by her dad no matter what. You're the asshole for projecting your own shit on them. You're the asshole. There is zero reason for you to be commenting or interfering with their parent-child relationship. Especially over something as innocent and parental as him babying his sick daughter. What possible reason is there for this behavior needing to stop? You want Aspen to feel less loved, supported when ill. Daughters aren't allowed close relationships with their fathers as teenagers. Whatever BS you are using to justify this nonsense is likely just toxic thoughts. You're the asshole. There's no age at which people need less physical contact. As long as his daughter respects your boundaries and doesn't get between him and you on purpose by climbing on his lap, there's really no problem. Daughters with good parental support are less likely to date at an early age. Less likely to have psychological problems. It seems you have some old-fashioned ideas about spoiling a child with too much affection. That stuff belongs in the 1880s. You're the asshole. My daughter is 19 and sometimes will still come to me for comfort and fall asleep on my lap. Don't take that away from them. You're the asshole. Stop sexualizing young girls. And work on your self-esteem. Jealousy is about your fragile ego, not your boyfriend. You're the asshole. I'm 33 and when I don't feel well I ask my loved ones, including my parents, if they are around, if I can rest my head in their lap with a pillow and have my head rubbed. You need to really think about why you perceive parental affection as problematic. This would be a total deal breaker for me if a partner thought I shouldn't provide comfort to my child because she or he was too old. You're the asshole. It's for her to decide if she's too old for that or not, and it's none of your business. You're the asshole. It's his child. She will always be his child, no matter how old she gets. It sounds like you need to date someone without kids if this is your overall attitude. What's next? Will you be advocating for kicking her out of the house the day she turns 18? YTA. I pity you. Receiving affection from one's parents is not wrong. There's no age limit to be cuddling with dad-mom. There's nothing sexual in it. You're the asshole. You don't have kids, do you? Kids and parents can be affectionate towards each other no matter what age they are. Get used to it. She's his daughter and will always be his best girl. So take a seat. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. Go launder your mind. She's not too old to need comfort and affection from her dad. There's nothing inappropriate a father snuggling his daughter, especially when she is not feeling well. Am I the asshole for telling my sister that her daughter's death was her fault? About 8 months ago, my F38 niece F19 was found dead in her room from drug OD. Ever since then, my sister, her mother, has been very nasty and hostile towards everyone. I understand she's devastated as any feeling person would, we all are deep down. But this has been going on for way too long. My mother and I have tried everything in our power to get her to see a therapist. She simply refuses. And says she's fine. Yet she continues to treat us horribly. The woman acts as if we're the ones to killed her daughter. But the thing is, on my niece's note, she wrote something about not being able to handle the mental pain and pressure her mom was putting on her. A few days ago, my sister was, as usual, projecting her anger towards me. And as she was screaming at and name-calling me, I told her that it's her fault her daughter is dead, and that she needs to stop taking out her frustrations on us. Instead of going any further, she left my house and hasn't talked to me since then. Am I the asshole? I think this goes beyond Reddit's pay grade. Look, I'm saying this as gently as I can. But this is above Reddit's pay grade. I do wonder, what did you mean by pressure? Was your sister just giving her regular parental stuff, or was she verbally and emotionally abusive to your niece? Given how cruel she's been treating you and your mother before you said this, is it her first response to be verbally abusive and belittle people if she gets upset? Heya. This is hardcore above Reddit's pay grade. Jesus Christ, this is beyond what Reddit can judge. We don't know what your sister's relationship with her daughter was. But that's harsh as fuck. You're the asshole. I get that you are frustrated with your sister's accusations and are affected by your niece's death. But boy, that is a terrible and destructive thing to say. That is not tough love. That was vindictive and meant to hurt her in the worst place possible. If you really want to help your sister get to a better place, you will need be way more grace. Sorry to you and your family. You all need counseling. It wasn't just an OD, she committed suicide. Some family counseling is in order big time. And you didn't need to blame your sister since she already does. YTA. Cut her off. Fine. Telling her less than a year into her grieving that she's the reason her kid is dead is hardcore. Not okay. Her behavior isn't okay and nobody should have to deal with it. You shouldn't have said what you did. And now you've made things harder for her. I cannot pass judgment on such a difficult situation. You responded out of frustration to your sister, who I suspect is already beating herself up for her daughter's death. Maybe her anger and harshness is projection. Clearly your sister needs proper help. Imagine the guilt she must feel. She doesn't need a reminder about it. She is clearly hurting and you and the family could decide to help her deal with this grief. You're the asshole. This one is well above a random Redditor's pay grade. But your sister absolutely didn't need the reminder. Fully expect her behavior towards you specifically to get even worse after this. Your family needs grief counseling and therapy. All of you for the grief counseling. Until you and your sister get help. Stay away from her. This is above Reddit's pay grade, honestly. I'm sorry for your loss, though. I'm reluctant to call you an asshole. Because death and grieving are difficult to negotiate. We lost our first child 41 years ago. It takes a long time to get back to life, but at some point, you tell yourself to live with your memories and stop being angry. It took my wife much longer. It took me about 2 years. But it took her 20. She's the one who gave birth. I hope your sis can find peace. With the title, I expected to read that your sister had gotten your daughter into hard drugs and was regularly using with her. Or she allowed her husband or boyfriend to assault the daughter for years. Instead, I'm reading that your niece couldn't handle pressure. And you're blaming your sister for her death based off of that. GTFO. You're the asshole and a huge one. You should be ashamed of yourself. Info. What the fuck? A huge you're the asshole. The loss of a child is something no one should go through. You can remove yourself from her if you feel she is too hostile or moody. You don't seem very empathetic to her situation anyway. She will always remember what you have said to her and for that you are a horrible sister. YTA. Massively cruel thing to have said. How long after her daughter died would have been an appropriate time to process the death of her daughter? Is this like an FMLA situation where it's 6 months and you're fired from being sister? You're the asshole. You actually typed out a question whether telling your sister her daughter's suicide was her fault made you the asshole. And still didn't know the answer. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. Not even a question. Your assertion is patently false and only going to make her worse. I hope it felt good for you, 'cause it's all going to be shit from now on. What you said was far over the line. As for the sister, grief doesn't have a time limit, but losing someone gives you zero right to verbally abuse those around you because you're in pain. You suck for the comment. She sucks for taking grieving out on you. You both need therapy. I'm not going to give a judgment here because she's living with terrible guilt. Are you kidding me? The note blamed her essentially. Of course she's irrational and even more devastated. Grieving already doesn't have a time limit, but add the note on top of that. She shouldn't treat you terribly, but you should have also closed your mouth. Perhaps she needs some space. She's denying help. BC, it's part of grieving. Everyone needs to leave her alone. Just make sure she is well and that she is not going to hurt herself once you give her space. She's lashing out at the people who she thinks can handle it. Her family. Not okay. But handle it either by leaving or choosing to stay. Either way, what you said was WAAAAAAYY over the line painful. All of you get some help, please. This is beyond Reddit's pay grade. Should you have dropped this nuclear bomb on your sister? No. But I also see where you're coming from. Being a virtual punching bag for what your sister is putting you and your family through these past 8 months. Everyone grieves differently. But it's still no excuse for taking her anger out on you. Nor you on her. I hope you can get her into therapy. It's the only answer I can give. Clearly your sister needs proper help. Imagine the guilt she must feel. She doesn't need a reminder about it. She is clearly hurting, and you and the family could decide to help her deal with this grief. You're the asshole. There is no time limit on grief. It takes however long it takes for each person. If there was a note that directly blamed her, then she already thinks she is responsible. You didn't need to rub it in. You're the asshole. I understand your feelings about being verbally attacked by your sister. But she is going through intense grief and guilt right now. What you said was just cruel. You could have told her to back off without stooping to that level. Am I the asshole for injuring myself before my sister's wedding? I and my sister have always had great relations. Recently, her fiancé, let's call him Josh, had proposed to her. She invited the entire family and a few of her friends to the wedding. 4 days before the wedding, I was cycling around the neighborhood I live in. I accidentally took a sharp turn and planted face first into the concrete. I bruised my leg, part of my face and arms unfortunately. I thought I shouldn't go to the wedding. This reached my sister a few hours after I came back home and started treating my scar. And I tell you, she was furious. She told me that because of some dumb scar I can't come to a relative's birthday. She also accused me of doing this on purpose just so I wouldn't have to see her friend my ex. About 1 hour later I got an entire paragraph from my mother, stating I am a liar and a selfish person. There were two main reasons why I couldn't attend the wedding. First, after the crash I felt extremely nauseous and dizzy. Second, I could not dare to walk into a public area with a large, bright red dot on my forehead. My husband, let's call him Damien, also decided not to go to the wedding due to the way my sister treats me. During the time I am writing this, it is 3 days before the wedding and I still feel extremely sick. My mother is scolding me for not being able to attend a wedding for a medical event. She says that my sister has attended all of my important events. My graduation, my own wedding, etc. I accept that. But getting bombarded by angry messages from my mom because I got hurt is horrible in my eyes. So Reddit. Am I the asshole? You need to sort out your priorities. First, after the crash I felt extremely nauseous and dizzy. So see a doctor, get checked out. Second, I could not dare to walk into a public area with a large, bright red dot on my forehead. This is a non-issue, and if this is the reason you're giving your sister for skipping her wedding, I'm not surprised that she's fuming. Okay, as someone in the medical field, if you are feeling ill after 3 days after a bike crash, you need to go to the ER. You should not be feeling this way. Please, not the asshole, but go to the ER immediately. This is a concussion. See a doctor and get treated. Wedding or birthday? I am all lost here. Go to the doctor. This is like an episode of Judge Judy. I face planted. But let me go on Reddit and ask whether I'm being an ass to my sister who's getting married soon. OPFFS. Priorities. Have you been looked at? Why is your family ripping into you? Unless this is a weird pattern of hurting yourself before important days of celebration, WTF. Go see a doctor. Info: did you want to go to the wedding before your accident? You're the asshole. If you really wanted to go to the wedding, bruising and a scar wouldn't stop you. The only real issue is dizziness and nausea, which you have 4 days, plenty of time to see a doctor and get treated. At the very least, you go to the doc and get the dizziness, nausea looked at and then see how you feel day of, and if you're actually still too sick to go, then. Meanwhile, what's with this sentence? She told me that because of some dumb scar I can't come to a relative's birthday. Where did a birthday come into play? If I'm understanding correctly, you decided 4 days before the wedding you couldn't go. BC, you would have a red dot on your head and you were dizzy and sick at your stomach 4 days beforehand. Yes, you're the asshole. BC, it was an excuse. Not one for having an accident, but using nausea 4 days before and a mark on your head as an excuse. Not the asshole. But those are textbook concussion symptoms and you need to go to the hospital. I'm surprised you didn't go to the hospital on day 1. You don't want to go. Just admit it. Your family is being a bit much, but IDKY having a bruise etc. would keep you from going out in public. Regardless, definitely go to the doctor if you're still feeling dizzy, nauseous. I would say just see how you feel that day, and if you're alright, go. Info. What is your doctor saying about you feeling sick after falling from a bike 3 days after? That is not normal op. Unless a doctor says that you need to be hospitalized or bedridden. You need to suck it up and be there for your sister. You are acting like a child. And go get your head checked out to make sure you don't have a concussion. Now. You have concussion symptoms. Concussion is a brain injury. You do not want to wait on this. Info: did you get checked for a concussion? Those symptoms are concerning. Did you get checked out? You could have a concussion or brain injury due to the nausea and dizzy spells. That's not good. Also, it's weird that you say you and your sister have a great relationship, but it seems vitriolic. You even say your husband says she doesn't treat you right. Feels like this was a minor accident that could conveniently be inflated to get out of something you didn't want to do in the first place. You're the asshole. Not for injuring yourself, but for not going to a medical professional and getting checked for concussion. Your husband, who I assume knows your symptoms, would be better off bringing you to a doctor instead of declaring that he won't be going to the wedding. Go to the hospital. If you are dizzy, you may have a concussion. Go to the you have a concussion. Why are you worrying about this, bro? Go to the but yeah, not the asshole. Now. See a doctor. Attend wedding if you're able. Be sure to be in the photos. Well, you would be more than a little crazy if it was deliberate. And they are more than a little crazy to suggest it was. And go to the not a doctor but a klutz and raised a couple of kids. You are exhibiting signs of more serious head injury. I am begging you to go to a hospital now and be seen. Now. Please. Both tar. I feel like you don't actually want to go anyway. It's not like you've broken a leg or bed bound. Your sister and mother shouldn't be nasty in texts. But I can absolutely understand some reasoning as to why your sister is angry. Why are you focused on how you will look at your sister's wedding? It's not about you, it's about your sister and future-in-law. If you're feeling sick from that for a good few days after, you need to see a doctor. Well, you're not the asshole for injuring yourself, clearly not. It was an accident. A bump scar on your head isn't an acceptable excuse to not go to the wedding, and it was a bit premature of you to suddenly decide you can't go 4 days before. However, if you are feeling as sick and unwell as you say you do, I would go and get yourself checked out, as you may have a concussion. YTA sounds like a concussion, but if you're still feeling that bad 3 days a day later, you need to go to a friggin' doctor. Then you slip the "I look bad sir, I don't want to go in." So is it you feel ill or look bad? Edit Ms. Reddit. It's 3 days before the wedding. Nonetheless, go to a doctor. It kinda sounds like you just don't want to go. Instead of seeking treatment, then waiting to see if the treatment helps. You decided immediately that you weren't going to go to the wedding. For that, you're the asshole. I can see why your sister is so upset. Sounds like a possible concussion. Go to the You should see a doctor. Your mom should be saying that. You are feeling sick after an accident. That's no bueno. Go to the hospital ASAP. Sounds serious. Am I the asshole for not wearing trousers around the house when my roommate has the guy she's dating over? When I'm F24 around the house, I tend to wear a baggy t-shirt with underwear underneath. If the weather's colder, I'll wear PJ bottoms too. But particularly in the summer months, I'm most comfortable in just a t-shirt. I live with 2 other girls, but I've never given much thought to how I dress around them because, in my opinion, when you're in your own home, comfort is more important than looking presentable or modest. Sometimes, One of my roommates will have a guy she's seeing over. Again, I don't pay much attention to what I'm wearing when he's around. If I need to use the kitchen while they are in there, I don't put on trousers to do so. I just go about my business like I normally would, whilst obviously saying hello and being polite, etc. Most of the time, my roommate would tell me, just to let you know, insert guy's name is coming over soon. I thought she'd tell me this because she was being a considerate roommate. So I'd just say okay. Thanks for letting me know. Today, she admitted to me that the reason why she notifies me whenever the guy is coming over is to give me a chance to put on trousers beforehand. At first, I thought she was just poking fun at my clothing habits. So I laughed it off. Then she starts saying, "Don't you feel uncomfortable?" At this point, I feel a bit judged. And I tell her no. I don't feel uncomfortable wearing what I like in my own home. Then she says something along the lines of, "But it's kind of common decency to not be half-dressed when people are over." I was pissed but tried to stay calm. I reiterated that I will dress how I like because I pay rent here and it's not like I'm indecently exposing myself to anyone. I then left the room to cool down. I haven't had another discussion with my roommate about it since. In my opinion, it is not my responsibility to make her or her guy friend feel comfortable. If I had my breasts or genitalia on display, that would be another story. Or if I was purposefully showing flesh to try to get the guy's attention, that would be wrong. But I'm literally just existing in the way I usually do. At the same time, I understand people have different ideas about modesty and what is appropriate behavior around house guests, particularly those of the opposite gender. So I'm wondering if I could be considered an asshole. Edit: I wear XL t-shirts which cover my underwear. I get them large so they are more like a nightie. It is similar to wearing a short dress. I am not exposing myself without people's consent. You're the asshole. I agree with you on the fact that if you are in your own house, do what you want. But the problem is you aren't in your own house, you are in a house you share with others. It's disrespectful, tbh. You're the asshole. Yes. You have a right to feel comfortable in your home. However, so does your roommate. She has politely told her that it makes her uncomfortable having you walk around pantsless when other people are over. You are not uncomfortable in shorts. I assume you wear pants when you leave the house. Roommate is not asking for anything extreme. It is common courtesy to be dressed in front of company. A. You're the asshole. She's being respectful and telling you when he's coming over. Be respectful and throw on sweatpants or shorts when you need to go out into the common area. It comes off as attention-seeking if you know he's there and purposefully don't. Info: would you feel happy about it that it was appropriate if you lived at your parents' home and your mom or dad walked around in their underpants and a t-shirt when you had guests? You're the asshole. It's her place to be a good roommate and respect her boundaries. You're the asshole. Your post history indicates that you struggle with physical boundaries. And I would be very suspicious of your refusal to put on pants when my boyfriend was over. Info: is it a baggy shirt that covers your ass? Or are you obviously walking around in your underwear? Do what you want in your own room. But you shouldn't be in underwear in common areas. Guests over or not. You're the asshole. These are not your spaces. They are shared. So what the other people want and consider appropriate is relevant. If you don't want this, get your own place with no roommates. Info: if you invited guests over to visit you, would you also hang out in just your panties on the bottom? It's not just your place, though. You're the asshole. YTA for not observing public levels of dress in common areas of your shared housing accommodation. If t-shirt is long enough that normal moving around, including sitting, doesn't show your underwear, fine. Otherwise, put on shorts. You're the asshole op. I used to live with someone that would chuck her pants off and walk around in undies when she got home. But she and I were both comfortable with that, and I would join her sometimes. However, whenever we had guests over, regardless of whose, we would always put our pants shorts on because it was only polite. You are rude as heck. Your housemate is also paying the rent. Same as you. You can walk around naked in your own bedroom. But outside, that is a shared space. The person that needs to check themselves and respect boundaries is you. You're the asshole wearing pants is a social norm. I am assuming that when you go out in public you wear pants. If so, the same rule applies when socializing in a shared home environment. It's not like you need to put on a pair of uncomfortable jeans. Get the soft elastic pull-on shorts. They are just as comfortable but cover you. The guy may also feel uncomfortable as he probably doesn't want to appear to be looking at you, but if people are pantless in your environment, it's just awkward. If roles were reversed and you were a guy wearing no pants, people would also have issue. YTA. If the shirt really covered everything, then how do they know you are only wearing underwear? I'm guessing more shows than you realize. Just get some shorts. It isn't that hard to respect your housemates and their guests. Maybe look into living alone. You're the asshole and a little attention seeker. Don't post here if you don't want the truth and are just looking to debate. You're the asshole. You're disrespectful and you're the asshole. I understand it's your home. But it's her home too. She had a guest over. I'm not sure exactly what your definition of trousers is. But I'm assuming it means long pants. It's summer. It's hot. So no to the long pants. But she's who within her right to request you water something other than underwear on your bottom half while you're in shared spaces of the home. Get a t-shirt dress. Find superb soft shorts. Or boxers. You're the asshole. Yes, you can wear whatever you want in your home, but if they're a guest over, it called for a little more clothes. You're the asshole. It may be where you live. But your bedroom is your private space to wear what you want. Kitchen, lounge, dining are shared spaces. And you should dress appropriately. Even if that just means some shorts and a baggy tee. If you want to wear whatever you feel like while at home, you should rent by yourself. Your housemates and their guests have a right to be comfortable within these spaces. You're the asshole. When you get roommates, there is a limit to how you can dress in your own home because it just so happens that it's their own home too. It doesn't sound like they are making wild requests. Just that you put on shorts or something. Unless the shirt goes down to your knees. I have a hard time believing that your underwear doesn't show at all if you raise your arms or sit down. Also, they aren't even asking you to completely stop. Just when guests are over.